Hi, today we're going to be learning about solving quadratic equations with common factors. First, we're going to just practice solving equations before we move on to quadratic equations. So the first one I want you to do is this one over here. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to solve this equation. Okay, so let's go through that and see what you should have got. Right, so first of all, I've got 3x plus 2 equals 7x minus 6. I need to get my x's all on one side of the equation and my constants all on the other side of the equation. So I'm going to get rid of the 7x on this side by subtracting on both sides. So that gives me 3x minus 7x, which gives me negative 4x. And on this side, I'm going to subtract 2 to get rid of it over here. So I'm going to subtract 2 on this side as well. So I have negative 6 minus 2. That gives me negative 8. Now I'm going to divide by negative 4 to get x on its own. So therefore, x is equal to negative 8 divided by negative 4 is positive 2. So that's what you should have got for question A, that x is equal to positive 2. Right, let's go on to question B. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to solve this one as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so over here, I've got x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 5 minus 7x plus x squared. So first of all, the x squared, if I move this one and get rid of it, I'm going to subtract x squared over here. That means I'm going to subtract x squared on this side, and it's going to end up cancelling out on both sides. So I don't have any x squareds left. Then my x's, I've got negative 5x over here. I'm going to add 7x. To get rid of it on this side, I have to add 7x on both sides. So negative 5x plus 7x is 2x on the left equals. Then I'm going to add 3 on both sides. So I've got 5 plus 3 is 8. Divide the 8 by the 2, and that gives you x equals 4. So that's what you should have got for question B. Okay, now we're going to go on to another example. Now in this example, we've got x squared plus 5x minus 3 plus 2x squared equals 5x squared minus 7x minus 3. Let's go and have a look at how we would solve this equation. Okay, so in this one, I've got x squared plus 2x squared, that's 3x squared. Then I'm going to subtract 5x squared. So I've got 3x squared minus 5x squared, that's negative 2x squared. Now this is different to the previous one. In the previous one, the x squareds cancelled. So I just had an x term and I had a constant term. So I got the x's on the one side, I got the constants on the other side, and I solved for x. But because the x squared doesn't cancel out, now I'm going to have to do things a little bit differently. So when you have an equation where the x squared terms don't cancel out, what you're going to do is you're going to move everything to the left-hand side so that you have 0 on the right-hand side. Okay, so over here, I have 5x, then I've got minus 7x over here. I'm going to add 7x, so 5x plus 7x is plus 12x. And then I've got minus 3 over here and minus 3 over there. Those are going to cancel each other out. When I add 3 over here to get rid of it, it's going to cancel out that 3 as well over there. So those are going to cancel. And so I have no constants left. And that is equal to 0. So now I've got negative 2x squared plus 12x equals 0. Okay, so now, unlike in this one, I can't just go and solve for x like normal. What I now need to do is I need to get my equation into the form of a product of factors equals 0, because then I can go and solve for x with different values. Okay, so with the different factors. So over here, I've got negative 2x squared plus 12x. I need to go and get this so that it is a factor multiplied by a factor equal to the 0 over here. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to factorize. To factorize over here so that I can get factors multiplied together. So over here, I've got negative 2x squared plus 12x. I'm going to take out a common factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the whole negative 2x. Okay, I want my first term in my brackets, when I get my brackets after I take out my common factor, to be positive. I don't want to have a negative. So I'm going to take out the negative 2x. So I'm going to have negative 2x as my common factor. Then I open my brackets and I'm going to see what's left over. So I'm going to divide, and negative divided by negative is positive. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then x squared divided by x is x. Then over here, I've got a positive divided by negative is negative. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And x divided by x cancels. So I have negative 2x times x minus 6 equal to 0. So now that I've got an equation where I've got a product of factors equal to 0, I'm going to go and solve this equation by saying if I've got factors multiplied together equal to 0, at least one of them has to be 0 in order for them to give me 0 when I multiply them together. So I'm going to take each of these factors and make it equal to 0 separately. Then I'm going to solve those little equations separately. So I have negative 2x is my one factor, and x minus 6 is my other factor. So I'm going to make each of those factors equal to 0. So first, the negative 2x equals 0, or x minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so now that I've got my two little equations, I'm going to go and solve for x separately in each of them. So over here, let's divide by negative 2. 0 divided by anything stays 0, so therefore x is still 0 from that factor. But this one over here, x is going to be equal to 6. So both of those are possible values for x in this equation. Okay, now let's go and have a look at the rules that we're going to follow when you have an equation like this. This kind of equation is called a quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is an equation where the highest power of the variable, like x, is 2, as in x squared. So like in that last equation that we just did, we had x squared, and those x squareds didn't cancel out. In the previous question that we did, we had x squareds, but they cancelled out. So then we no longer had any x squareds in our equation. We could just solve it like a normal equation. But when you have a quadratic equation, those x squareds don't cancel out. And then you have to follow a different method. And this is the method you're going to follow when you're solving a quadratic equation. The first thing you have to do is move all of the terms to the left-hand side so that the right-hand side is equal to 0. And the equation is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? Once you have done that, you then need to go and factorize the expression on the left-hand side to get a product of factors equal to 0. Once you've done that, you then set each factor equal to 0 and solve each small equation separately. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a few questions where you're going to practice this yourself. Okay, so here's the first one you're going to do. You've got 7x squared minus 14x equals 0. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to solve this equation. Okay, so let's go through that and see what you should have got. Right, so over here, you've got x squared and you've got a term with x, and then you've got it equal to 0. So it's already been written in the form where everything is on the left-hand side equal to 0 on the right-hand side. So we don't have to move our terms around. We're just going to go from here and do our factorizing. So I'm going to factorize this. There is a common factor here, so I'm going to take out that common factor of 7x. And I'm left over here with x minus 2 equals 0. So that's what you get when you factorize. You take out your common factor of 7x, Then you see what's left from each of the terms when you divide by that 7x, you get x minus 2. So now I've got my two factors multiplied together equal to 0. So now I can go and make each of those factors equal to 0 separately. So I can say, therefore, 7x must be equal to 0, or x minus 2 must be equal to 0 in order for me to be able to multiply them together and end up with 0 like that over there. So now I can solve for x, and I can say, therefore, x is equal to 0 divided by 7 is still 0, or x is equal to 2. That's what you should have got for question A. The two values are 0 and 2. Okay, let's go on to question B. Here you've got x squared minus 5x plus x squared. I'm going to give you 1 minute to solve this equation. Okay, so let's go through that and see what you should have got. Right, so over here, I've got x squared minus 5x plus x squared. So the first thing I have to do is I have to simplify and get it into the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So I'm going to say x squared plus x squared. I need my x squareds to be first. So x squared plus x squared is 2x squared. Then minus 5x, and there's no constant, equals 0. Now I'm going to go and factorize it. So I have a common factor of x, which I'm going to take out. That leaves me with 2x minus 5 equals 0. So now I've got a factor times a factor equal to 0. So I can make each of those factors equal to 0 separately. So therefore, x equals 0, or 2x minus 5 equals 0. And now I can solve for x over here. So therefore, x is still equal to 0 over here, or in this one over here, if I want to get rid of the negative 5 on the left, then I'm going to add 5 on both sides. So I'm going to have positive 5 on the right, and then I'm going to divide by the 2. So I'm going to end up with x equals 5, positive 5, divided by 2. So you can show the working out for this if you want to. You have 2x minus 5 equals 0. So I take the 5, get rid of it on the side by adding on both sides. So I have 2x equals 5, and then I divide by 2, and that gives me x equals 5 over 2. But you can also just go straight to the answer over here, skipping out that step, by saying that we know that when we get rid of the negative 5 on this side, it's going to become positive 5 on that side, and then we're going to divide by 2, so we're going to get 5 over 2. So you take this number, you put it on that side, and you change the sign, and then you put it over that number. Okay, so that's what you should have got for question B, that x is equal to 0, or x is equal to 5 over 2. Right, let's go on to question C. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute to solve this equation as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so in this example over here, this is the first one that you've had to do where you haven't had a 0 already on the right hand side. In the previous two, it was already equal to 0 on the right hand side, but we're going to have to move the terms so that we have all of our terms on the left with a 0 on the right. Okay, so over here, the first thing I want to have is my x squared. Remember, we need to have it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So we want our x squared to be first. So let's look at our x squared. So I've got 2x squared, and then I'm going to minus 3x squared. So 2x squared minus 3x squared is negative x squared. Then my x terms, I've got 4x, and I'm going to minus 5x. That gives me minus x equals 0. So now I've got all of my terms on the left-hand side in the correct order equal to 0. Now I can go and factorize. I'm going to take out a common factor. Again, just like in the example that I did with you earlier, I don't want to have negative x inside my bracket. So I'm going to take out a common factor of negative x. Okay, so I'm going to have negative x as my common factor, and then I divide each of the terms by that. So negative x squared divided by negative x is positive x, and negative x divided by negative x is positive 1 equals 0. So now I'm going to go and make each of these factors equal to 0. So negative x is my one factor, and x plus 1 is my other factor. So I get, therefore, negative x equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. Now I can go and solve for x in both of these little equations. So therefore, x is equal to 0. 0 divided by negative 1 is still 0. Or, over here, x is equal to negative 1. So that's what you should have got for that example, that x is equal to 0 or x is equal to negative 1. Right, let's go on to question D. I'm going to give you 1 minute to solve this equation as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so over here I've got 5x times x plus 3 minus 20x equal to 0. So the first thing we need to do is multiply out these brackets, and then we need to get it into the correct order, and then we can factorize and solve. Okay, so 5x times x is 5x squared, and 5x times 3 is plus 15x. Remember, we multiply in to each of the terms there. Then I've got minus 20x equal to 0. So 5x squared is going to stay as it is, but then I've got plus 15x minus 20x is minus 5x equal to 0. So now I'm going to go and factorize this. It's already equal to 0, and it's already in the correct order, so I can factorize it. So I've got a common factor of 5x that I'm going to take out. And I divide each term by 5x. That gives me x. And then a negative divided by positive is minus, and 5x divided by 5x is 1 equal to 0. So now I have 5x as my one factor and x minus 1 as my other factor. So I'm going to go and solve for x. So I can say, therefore, 5x is equal to 0, or x minus 1 is equal to 0. So now I've got my two little equations, so I can solve for x in each one. So in this one over here, x is equal to 0 still. If I divide 0 by 5, it still gives me 0. Or in this one, x is equal to 1. So that's what you should have got for question D. Right, let's go on to question E. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to solve this equation. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so the first thing we have to do is multiply out these brackets. So I'm going to multiply the 3x into each term in that bracket. So 3x times x is 3x squared. And 3x times negative 1 is minus 3x. Then over here, I'm going to multiply the negative x into these brackets over here. So I have negative x times x is negative x squared. And negative x times negative 2 is positive 2x equals 2x. Now that I've multiplied out, my next step is to move everything to the left-hand side so it's equal to 0 and put the terms in the correct order. So I want my x squareds first. So I've got 3x squared minus x squared. That gives me 2x squared. Then I've got negative 3x plus 2x minus 2x gives me negative 3x equal to 0. Okay, so now I've moved everything to the left-hand side. I've got 0 on the right-hand side, and they're in the correct order. So now I can go and factorize. So to factorize, I'm going to take out the common factor of just x in this case. So over here, x, and then 2x squared divided by x is 2x, and negative 3x divided by x is minus 3 equals 0. So I've got x and 2x minus 3. Now I'm going to go and solve for x in both of the two factors. So I'm going to put each factor in this one is x and 2x minus 3 equal to 0 separately. So therefore, x equals 0 or 2x minus 3 equals 0. And now I can just solve for x. So here x is still equal to 0. Or over here, when I solve for x, it becomes positive 3 on the side. Then we have to divide by 2, so therefore x is equal to positive 3 over 2. So that's what you should have got for question E, that x is 0 or x is 3 over 2. Right, let's go on to the last one for today. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to solve this one as well. Okay, so let's go through that question and see what you should have got. Right, so in this question over here, we've got 3x squared plus 5 times x plus 2 equals 2x times x plus 2 plus 2x squared plus 10. So again, the first thing we're going to do is multiply out the brackets. So I'm going to multiply the 5 into these brackets over here and the 2x into these brackets over here. So I've got 3x squared, then plus 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times positive 2 is plus 10 equals 2x times x is 2x squared, and 2x times 2 is plus 4x. Then I've got plus 2x squared and plus 10. So now again, I need to move everything to the left-hand side. So I have 0 on the right hand side, and I need to make sure it's in the correct order. So I'm going to do my x squareds first. So I've got 3x squared over here. Then I'm going to minus 2x squared and minus 2x squared again. That gives me negative x squared. Then I do my x's. I've got 5x. I'm going to minus 4x. That gives me plus x. Then I'm going to do my numbers, my constants. I've got 10. And here I've got 10. I'm going to minus it. It's going to cancel out. So the 10s are not going to... there's not going to be a constant over here. So I've got negative x squared plus x equal to 0. Now I can go and factorize this. I'm going to take out negative x as my common factor. That leaves me with x. So negative x squared divided by negative x is x. And then x divided by negative x is negative 1 equal to 0. So positive divided by negative is negative, and x divided by x is 1. Okay, so now I have my two factors multiplied together equal to 0. So I can make each of them equal to 0 separately. So therefore, negative x is equal to 0, or x minus 1 is equal to 0. So now I can solve for x. So in this one over here, x is still equal to 0. And in this one over here, x is equal to 1. So that you should have got for question F, that x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 1. And that's how we solve quadratic equations with common factors. Now that we've learned the concepts in this lesson, it's important to practice, practice, practice. If you haven't already got the worksheet that goes with this video, you can find it by clicking on the link in the description below. The worksheet comes with an extra exercise full of questions for you to work on to master the concepts covered in this lesson. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button so that others can benefit from it too. Also, be sure to subscribe so that you can easily find my other lessons, and hit the bell so that you will get notified about lessons as I upload them.